Good afternoon to everyone. It's our pleasure to have us here. I'm Vojtěch Malínek. Here with me is Patryk, Hubar, and we are representatives of that commando who has prepared this talk on Literarybibliography.eu. Just to shortly introduce ourselves, I am coming from the Institute of Czech Literature, where I am responding for the Czech literary bibliography research infrastructure, which has some parameters which you can see in more detail on this slide. And the next slide is representing Patryk infrastructure. Basically, the message is that we are dealing with the same issues, have nearly the same collections, and secret message is that our data are completely differently structured. So that's a little bit problem, but let's keep it. We have started to cooperate quite intensively with our Polish colleagues since 2016 or 2017, so maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And our cooperation led to establishment of the Bibliographical Data Working Group within the DARIAH IRI Consortium, which was established in 2019, and currently we have nearly 40 members for 15 different countries. And I would like to just shortly stress out the main outputs of our current work. The first one is an analysis of the current bibliographical data landscape in the humanities, which was a publication released in the middle of this year. And we have also organized some of the workshops. You can see the titles of them, and the links will be in the presentation to the records of the content from these workshops. So this is shortly about us, and I would like to move to another joint project of PBL and CLB, which is Literarybibliography.eu. One of our first ideas, once we start to cooperate, was to create a joint interface which can merge both of our databases under one roof. So we have started to release that Libri portal or Literarybibliography.eu portal in 2020, originally with the data of Czech and Polish origin, which was quite successful. And later on, we are thinking about to broaden the scope of the representative data and include also other literary bibliographies available in a free access mode into this data collection. We would like to take an advantage of open data movement and open data initiatives, because currently quite a lot of European libraries have started to offer their data under the free license, under CC0 license. Simultaneously, these libraries are increasingly offering the access to their data via channels which enables us automatize processing of this data, which is really great. And we would like to also support the data-driven research of the bibliographical data. And the libraries are currently opening DH labs and special departments dealing with the quantitative research on bibliographical data, and organizing workshops on training on such issues. These are two examples. On the left side, you can see the open data portal of Finnish National Library, which is quite well prepared, and it is one of the ideal solutions for our needs. On the right side is the same interface for the German national libraries, which we think are currently maybe one of the most interesting services, at least Europe-wide. So the goals of our project, as I have already mentioned, is to collect the bibliographical data on literature and literary science for already existing sources. We are trying to unify them based on the joint descriptive system, which we are calling Libri Thesaurus. We are trying to enrich the data, especially with the persistent identifiers such as codes from DARIAH, which is a database of international authority files of the various libraries worldwide. We are trying to enrich the data with the geonames code once we are thinking about visualization of the data on the map. And we are trying to use Library of Congress subject headings as the most frequently used, probably, system for topical subject description in librarianship. Simultaneously, we are thinking, or we are working towards solidification of the data. That means we would like to interconnect the data we offer with the information from Wikidata. And the main, or maybe the ideal goal of our project is to develop an infrastructure for data-driven research on bibliographical data. So we have to solve the tasks such as data extraction. We have to map the systems and the structure of the various bibliographical data sets. We have to create joint authority file for our database. Of course, one of the pressing issues is the issue of multilinguality, because we have Czech, we have Polish, but you can imagine that once we have started to work with the Finnish data, it was really complicated to unify the records on one common standard, and so on and so on. So these are the main issues, and the next part of my presentation would be shortly about bibliographic data science, which is something our working group is dealing with. And this term was originally, let's say, invented by the members of the ComHis group, which is computational history group at the University of Helsinki, which colleagues of us, Nikodem and Leo Lahti, are leading. On the right side, you can see the screen of their articles from 2019, where they are discussing the parameters of the bibliographical data science. And we do see quite a large potential of this attitude for analyzing the existing bibliographical data for scientific research. For the next part, I have some slides. This is a slide from presentation from the Finnish colleagues, which follows the, reception or publication of the, let's say, classics of early modern times during the 15th, 16th, and 17th century. Here you can map or simply visualize how often are the books for various authors published during their lives and after their death. Maybe most interesting is the Shakespeare, which is the third line for above, where you can see that Shakespeare during 17th century nearly haven't been published at all, but somewhere in the middle of 18th century some bursting out has come, and Shakespeare was published quite frequently. On the next slide, you can see just comparison of the translation of Czech literature into Polish and Swedish, and you can see which authors has been translated in both of the languages and which only to the one. And on the last slide, maybe you can see the potential for the let's say sociological research, where we are trying to map the age structure of the author represented in the Czech literary bibliography data. And here I want to mention also Róbert Péter's tool called AVOBMAT, which is a really progressive tool for analyzing of bibliographical, and not only bibliographical metadata, but the full text. So that is also the tool which enables you as a researcher to provide or to conduct the research on bibliographical data. Shortly on current content of our portal, as I have said, we have Czech data as well as Polish, and the last collection was the Finnish data, which we have extracted from that open portal of Finnish National Library. For the future, we are planning to include German, French, as well as Scottish data. And maybe I will pass the word at this moment to Patryk, who will introduce you our technical solution.
So at the first stage of our project, we thought that we will build a library based on existing software, which is Viewfind. As you may see on the presentation, it's not really modern-looking software. Politically correct said. So mostly because why it's not working. Okay, so it's working, but it's lagging. Yeah, good. So Viewfind at its core was developed to present library data and to take care of, let's say, library things like renting the book, library holdings, etc. So it was not really suitable for our needs in case of bibliographical data and large bibliographic data sets. So we thought that we would build something upon the ViewFind software, and this is, yep. So that's the final result of our work. So we'll provide you the link to the library in this version, which is, let's say, based on ViewFind, but it is a completely different software, and few major changes in ViewFind discovery system. So first of all, we rewrote both backend and the front end of our application. So we changed completely the database, we changed the graphical user interface, etc., to create a system that first will be lightweight, because we are dealing with the large data sets. So the ViewFind in the original version wasn't the best option for taking care of that amount of data, with significantly improved performance. And we also added some more functionalities into the library software. First one is the Wikidata integration module. Second one is the new type of database records and files, which are called authority files, especially for persons and places. And the last but not least, the data visualization module. So the first new functionality, thank you, Vojtěch, is the Wikidata module, which is based on Wikidata software. So basically we've created a connection between our database and our software and Wikidata to create both manually and automatically a new bibliographic and authority records. So we are using SparkQL endpoint from Wikidata to extract some information about each object. And in the result, we have authority files that are both created by national libraries, enriched by the data from Wikidata and other linked open data sources. And this, I don't know if this is visible, but this is authority file for Adam Mickiewicz. So originally in ViewFind there was no place like authority files. So this is completely our initiative to create such a file for authors, for persons. So as you can see, we have some basic data and metadata for Adam Mickiewicz and for overall persons. We have his photo, we have his pronunciation of his name that is downloaded from Wikidata. So we have some metadata that is created in National Library and some that is downloaded from Wikidata source. Yeah. We also created authority files for places, and the major problem in the bibliographic data regarding the places is that you may imagine that one document was published in Constantinople, one was published in Istanbul. How to do with that? Because basically this is the same place, but with different labels. So we've managed to create such a record that holds all of the alternative labels for Istanbul, for place, for geographical place, regarding the timeline also. So you may find both documents for Istanbul and for Constantinople in Library, and you can also use the metadata from these records to filter and search more documents in our database. Last but not least, the simple data visualization module, which also is prepared both for persons and for places. Here you can see some graphs for persons regarding both information from Wikidata and from Library. So just a few graphs that can be also downloaded by the end user. This is maybe not as much advanced as in the previous presentation, but we also created data visualization for places. We are using OpenStreetMap for that. In the future, I think we have a place for collaboration in that module, so we'll keep in touch with you. Speaking of data, we created from the scratch a data preparation workflow for data enrichment and harmonization in the Libri software. So at the first step, we are dealing with data basically in Mark 21 or Mark XML formats, which are standard formats for library metadata, and then the metadata module comes in. So at the first step, we are preparing the data, some basic cleaning and checking the quality of metadata, and then we are doing basically two steps. The first one is the recognition of literary documents, which where we are using external data sources like controlled vocabularies and classifications to recognize the literary documents, because Libri deals only with documents that are related to literary studies. Then we are starting the enrichment process when we are using VIAF database for persons, geonames, etc., for enriching each type of metadata object and giving them the new types of metadata fields. Then we are also dealing with literary genres and subjects, so we are also trying to connect with Library of Congress subject headings data portal. We are also creating a connection between national libraries data portals. At the end, we are importing enriched data into the Wikidata module, so we have some, let's say, present identifiers from VIAF or from geonames to query the Wikidata portal to enrich the metadata, and then we are injecting the final product into the Libri. So this is long story short about the data preparation workflow in Libri and some plans for the future regarding the software and the data. So the first thing is that we are dealing only with persons and places. We want to add also subjects and institutions for authority files. We also want to create and implement the triple databases like RDF, compatible data model for presenting and storing our data, because now we are using just a SQL database. We also want to use some NLP solutions to, again, enrich our bibliographic and authority records by automatically generated metadata. We also want to add some data from retrospective conversion process, which, long story short, is transforming metadata that is published in the paper format into the database format. And last but not least, we want to transfer the Mark 21 files into more linked open data. I forgot the word. Version, let's say, of linked open data. Okay, and here on the presentation, I'm linking to the David Lindemann project, which will take care of that, we hope. So that's the plans for the future of Libri.
Okay, and to conclude, with the help of Róbert Péter, I would like to thank very much Róbert. We have been able to get some samples also from Hungary, from the Hungarian bibliographic data. This is basically the main data collection which are currently available on Hungarian literature, and we've got some sample from National Library of Hungary and from Péter Literary Museum. To make long story short, because I have quite a lot of graphs, we have tested that from the technical point of view, we are ready to process also the Hungarian data. And I will just briefly go through the slides. Okay, Hungarian. I see 50 seconds, so I will try to keep the time. Okay. So many topical terms, nice to identify the literary subjects. Quite a lot of this is frequency or distribution of the terms in a specific records, and this is distribution of the form and genre field, which is definitely crucial for the identification of the literary content in Hungarian National Library data. These are the most frequent subject or topical headings on the left side. On the right side, most frequent forms and genres in Hungarian collection. And as to Péter Literary Museum, we have already tested to upload it in our test viewfind, so it is much more old stone version than the nice Libri current version is. On the left side, the example of one record. On the right side, the example of the list of records. We are quite able to upload and represent the data. The problem is with the national specific variant of the mark format in Hungary called Hunmark, but to make long story short, there is also a Wikidata identifier in the data, so everything is perfect. And thank you for your attention. 40 slides in 20 minutes.